This is the most isolated and mysterious island in the entire world. No one really knows anything about what really happened here. There exists in the midst of the great ocean, in a region where nobody goes, a mysterious and isolated island. This is described by the 19th century French seafarer and artist Pierre Lodi. The island is planted with monstrous great statues, the work of I don't know what race, today degenerate or vanished. Its great remains an enigma. This secluded haven, known today as Easter Island, received its name from the Dutch explorer Jacob Roggeveen, who chanced upon its shores on Easter Day in 1722. Nestled in the vast expanse of the South Seas, this tiny volcanic outpost stands as the most remote inhabited place on Earth. To travelers from long ago, the sight of these massive stone figures was truly astonishing. These statues possessed an otherworldly combination of calm divinity and raw humanity, making them seem beyond the capabilities of the island's small, primitive, and isolated population. Captain James Cook, a British explorer, once wrote about his bewilderment in 1774, unable to fathom how these islanders, who had no advanced tools, could have raised such colossal statues. People speculated about the methods used, from stacking stones and using scaffolding. Over the centuries, countless theories were proposed and scientific investigations were conducted. By Cook's time, many statues had already been toppled, and the remaining ones were being neglected. However, the art of Easter Island remains a captivating enigma that still captures the human imagination. These statues, both a testament and a puzzle, continue to tell a silent story that transcends time and place, intriguing those who encounter them. Nestled in the vast South Pacific, Easter Island, a mere 14 miles long and 7 miles wide, stands as an isolated marvel, more than 2,000 miles off the coast of South America and 1,100 miles from its nearest Polynesian neighbor, Pitcairn Island. Despite being too far south for a tropical climate, lacking coral reefs and perfect beaches, and subjected to perennial winds and seasonal downpours, Easter Island boasts a rugged beauty that blends geology and art. Its volcanic cones, lava flows, steep cliffs, and rocky coves provide a backdrop for its megalithic statues, which are more imposing than the landscape itself. Beyond the stone monoliths, Easter Island harbors a rich tradition of artistic expression in forms like woodcraft, bark cloth, strings, feathers, songs, and dances, as well as the enigmatic Rongorongo script, which remains undeciphered. For 1,000 years, a society of hereditary chiefs, priests, clans, and skilled craftsmen thrived in splendid isolation on this remote island in the heart of the Pacific. In recent years, scientists who study old things have found some clues about the first people who came here. They think these folks came from a different island in the Pacific, but they can't decide which one for sure. They also can't agree on when these travelers first arrived on Easter Island. Some say it happened a long time ago, in the 1st century, while others think it might have been in the 6th century. And then there's the mystery of how they even found this tiny island in the first place. Did they come here on purpose? Or was it just by luck? These questions are still waiting for answers. People have different ideas about how those ancient travelers could find their way across the huge ocean without fancy tools like we have today. Some think it would have been impossible, while others believe these Polynesian sailors were some of the best in the world, knowing how to read the stars and the ocean's currents. There's even a theory that a bright new star in the olden skies might have shown them the path. But did these adventurers even know that Easter Island existed? That's a question science can't answer, but the islanders themselves might have the key to this ancient mystery. Benedicto Tucci was a tall 65-year-old master woodcarver, and his face told a story of years gone by, with deep wrinkles etched into his mahogany skin. He proudly introduced himself as a descendant of the island's first king, Hotu Matua, who, he believed, brought the island's very first settlers all the way from an island called Haiva in the Marquesas. According to him, his grandmother was the last queen of Easter Island. Benedicto Tucci explained that he could share the tale of Hotu Matua properly, but only at a special place on the island called Ahu Akivi. This place was home to 7 massive statues, and there, he said, he could tell the story just the way it should be told. In Tuki's native tongue, they call their island Rapa Nui, just like the people and their language. Their special stone platforms were known as Ahu, and the big statues sitting on them were called Moai. As our bumpy jeep ride brought us closer, these 7 Moa came into view. They had faces that looked wise, like they knew everything, but also very human and a bit serious. Tuki explained that these statues were different from others that faced the land. Instead, they stared out towards the open sea, gazing across the ocean to the west, as if they were remembering where they came from. You see, when Hodu Matua arrived on the island, he didn't come alone. Tuki said that he brought 7 different groups of people, which later became the 7 tribes of Rapa Nui. These Moai represented not only the very first ancestor from the Marquesas, but also the kings from other Polynesian islands. Tuki, with a distant look in his eyes, softly chanted their names, saying, "This isn't written down. My grandmother told me before she left us." He also shared that he was the 68th generation since Hodu Matua arrived on the island. Unraveling the island's history has been like solving a series of puzzles, from figuring out what the big statues meant to understanding why there was fighting and how a peaceful society eventually fell apart after 1,000 years. There weren't any written records until the first European ships arrived, so researchers have had to use different clues from bones, ancient weapons, old plants, and even changes in the style of statues and carvings. These clues helped piece together a rough history. When the first people came here, the island was covered in trees, which they used to make canoes and transport those huge statues, the Moai. They also brought along plants and animals, although only chickens and tiny rats survived. The island's unique art, created in isolation, produced beautiful ornaments for leaders and priests, while folks from different groups gained respect as skilled carvers, divers, canoe builders, and more. Georgia Lee, an archaeologist, thinks the rock carvings, known as petroglyphs, are just as amazing as the statues. She says there's nothing quite like them in all of Polynesia due to their size, variety, and exceptional craftsmanship. The debate about who really owns the land isn't just some academic argument. It's a deeply important matter for many families. You see, they base their claims on what they believe their ancestors once owned. Claudio Cristino, a Chilean archaeologist who spent 25 years studying and fixing up the island's treasures, describes the situation in strong words. He says that native people on the island, as well as all around the world, are using the past to reconnect with who they are, to get back their land, and to have more say in things. He worries about what's happening on the island now, with folks clearing land for farming and destroying important historical sites. He wonders if, as scientists, they might be partly responsible for this. He asks, who really owns the past? The former mayor of Hangaro, Petero Edmonds, who is from Rapa Nui, disagrees with the Chilean government's plan to give away land. He wants the entire park to be under Rapa Nui control, so it can be preserved. But he's frustrated because he feels like they're not listening. When asked who should take care of this special place, he simply says, the people of Rapa Nui, who've been looking after it for 1,000 years. He gets thoughtful and adds, the Moai, those big stone statues, they're not silent. They speak. They're like a lesson from our ancestors, showing something that's deep inside us, something we call spirit. The world needs to know that this spirit is still very much alive. Thank you to joining us today. Please leave a like and feel free to subscribe for more geographical content from all around the world. See you in the next video.